Awesome. I'm focused, I promise.
Vengo de la sillería donde la guajira.
I ain't ready for this.
Vengo de la sillería donde la guajira vive y del guajiro recibe un piropo en poesía. Desde donde es la varía, escenario del sinsonte.
The International Study Program is an opportunity we provide for young people in our organization to travel overseas. We travel to Africa and Latin America, and we've been doing it for 20 years now. And over those years we've traveled to countries throughout the Caribbean, including Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, this year Cuba, South America, including Brazil, and various countries in Africa, including Ghana, Morocco, South Africa, and Egypt. So it's a life-changing program, an opportunity for them to escape their comfort zone and to experience a new world.
A mí me gusta subir por musgosos escalones. De palenques escondidos se descifran los aullidos de los perros cimarrones.
When we are abroad, we visit a variety of organizations, we visit cultural sites, we travel between cities and small towns. We work with local NGOs, and we also have fun. It's educational, but it's also fun and sincerely cultural, Afro-Latino or African descendant as well.
That's him, Salvador Gonzalez, the guy in the picture. He's the artist who in 1990 started painting everything in here, inspired by the different African-derived religions we are still practicing here in Cuba. Let's remember that during the Atlantic slave trade were brought here to Cuba around 1,300,000 Africans from western coast of Africa. And as a result, we are still practicing in Cuba 4 religions with African roots. The most popular, and everybody know about that, Santeria, which is described as a mixture between Catholicism and African religion from Nigeria.
I think one of the things that comes out of the program is that members see that they're more connected than they realize they are. Because we're all part of the diaspora, we believe that we originated from the continent of Africa and we've been placed all over the world. And I think one of the amazing things is when we go abroad, we see people that look just like us. Even if it's a different culture, even if it's a different language. I go to Brazil, I'm not Brazilian, but in Brazil it's like, yo, no. So it's like they never, it's amazing how you really see how our family is spread, our ancestry is spread, our lineage is spread. And it's like we were all in the same bone, just dropped off on different ports, and we may speak different languages, but we have more similarities than we do differences. And we say that here, you know, in New York, in our home base, in our headquarters. When we go abroad and members see completely different people that they've never met before, who share, whether it's similar foods, whether it's similar likes in music, phenotype, similar, you know, can look like family, look like siblings. It really brings together the root of why we teach Pan-African themes.
we plan the international study program, it's a 4-week engagement, and over the course of those 4 weeks we're really encouraging young people to explore the various aspects of history, culture, politics of a foreign nation.
They'll talk about hair, and then they'll talk about Micah, and like, Micah, you're Spanish. I'm not Spanish. But they'll say, Micah, you're Spanish, you don't count. Your hair's not.
Our topic was colorism and racism within our own communities and within the Cuban community, and I believe that the topic is very important because it is kind of undermined. Like people, you know, walk over the topic, and it's a real issue. It's a serious issue.
Latinos have to really sit with themselves and focus with themselves and look into their history and look into their family, because sometimes you might be fair skinned but your aunt is as dark as me or darker, you know, or your grandmother or somebody else.
What I noticed was that we had this great conversation, but I also know that knowing that we did that, now when we go to like other places and visit, we're gonna notice how it actually goes into effect. So knowing how colorism affects our own communities as well as Cuba.
And so we want them to engage with folks around what their lives are like, what their political beliefs are like, what the government structure is like, what is school like for them. So they have opportunities to engage with groups, with students, with business folks, with politicians, to really get a sense of what life is like for folks in the foreign country.
Definitely proud moments when you see members come out of their shell. Members who are really shy or don't like to speak, when they go abroad and they're the first one to do an activity, or they're the first one to take a challenge or be physical or run around. It's great to see members willing to explore and just come out of their shell and shine.
To get the experience of traveling, because a lot of people don't even travel outside the States. A lot of people have never been on a plane.
I think it's important for kids from Harlem to travel because I think that we're limited in having conversations, and I think that this is just another opportunity for you to relate to someone who may have traveled to Cuba or is from Cuba or just traveled abroad in general.
Pan-African Latino history is one of our pillars and is purposefully put there as a mechanism to get young folks to attain this knowledge of self, to embrace it, and not only to embrace it, to love it, and once they love it, they can promote it and represent it in a positive way, and that's something that's priceless.
And I put a Kanara in because I celebrate Kwanzaa faithfully, and that's like definitely a big part of my culture.
I put Ghana because my mother's side of the family is from Ghana.
Growth on the ISP, somebody who's a wallflower, start to take chances. Someone who's afraid of the rain, start to dance in it. You know, someone who's afraid to speak, take the lead at a conference or at a gathering. You know, growth takes many shapes and forms. Sometimes it's the unspoken. It's something that is constantly in flux, because you never know what moment is going to resonate the most with that young woman or that young man. You don't know when they're going to pivot and just take off.
There is something that is tied to me in this space, but at the same time I'm not from here, and so what do I do with that? Like, what do I do with that academically and socially and culturally? It helped me expand my understanding of what it means to be part of a diaspora. It helped me solidify what I wanted to study in college. It helped me refute the idea that I'm a minority in any way, because I'm not. And it helped affirm a certain grace and confidence that I didn't have before traveling.
So as an organization, we've always had a focus on Pan-African and Latino history. And it's one thing to read about your history or to see photos. It's an entirely different thing to be able to travel and to experience your history, your culture firsthand. And so through the International Study Program, we've been able to provide that opportunity to young people. And we as staff have acted in many ways as sojourners, bringing groups of young people to Africa, to Latin America, to the Caribbean, to experience their history, their culture firsthand.
I did Brazil 2006 and Ghana 2007. Everywhere I went felt like Haiti, or felt like what I think other places in the diaspora were, especially in Salvador. This is kindred to me, but it's not home. And so it brought a lot of like diaspora awareness into the situation and into my own like personal experience. Both pivotal and eye-opening, and opportunities for me to think about how I move in the world and what it means to be like a global citizen in a black woman's body.
I not only have facilitated these trips, but I've also been a student. So I have a very unique and particular vantage point. I can look at it through the eyes of one of our members and really relate to them, because it really did something to me in 1997 going to South Africa. It was one of the moments in my life that I'll never forget, and really affirmed that I would be in this field doing this type of work and basically paying it forward.